So today, on the Feast of the Ascension, well, technically we'll do the Ascension on Sunday, but today is a technical day, I guess, 40 days after the resurrection. So we'll contemplate a little bit the Feast of the Ascension and what all of that means. There's a couple of things that are noteworthy. First of all, that this is an item in the Creed. We typically talk about, Jesus' death, and we talk about Jesus' resurrection. But in the Creed, we also say he ascended into heaven. So it's an item of the Creed. It's a part of the Creed. It's a big part of our faith. It's a big part of our faith because when Jesus ascended into heaven, he ascended, of course, bodily. Christ is seated bodily at the right hand of the Father. This is what the Catechism of the Catholic Church teaches us. This is a great mystery to think that Jesus Christ, as man and as God, ascended into heaven, and he took his body with him. And this is important to note because there are many times that we separate the two far too much. We separate body and spirit, body and soul, far too much. But the reality is that as human beings, we are both. It's intricately united, and without it, we're incomplete. Without the body, we're incomplete. That's why we hope for the resurrection. At the end of time, when at the final resurrection, we too will have our glorified bodies. Now, there are a couple of things also to wonder about why particularly God or Jesus had to ascend, why this had to be something that was witnessed by the apostles, and why did it have to happen to begin with? And many times people bring up this point as a critique of Christianity. Because of course, yes, we say that Jesus Christ resurrected from the dead, and yet, where is he? If he was resurrected from the dead, why isn't he here among us? Well, of course, we know that he's here in the Eucharist because he said he would remain with us always. So yes, he is here in the Eucharist. But, of course, not everybody believes that. And in another way, Jesus' ascension into heaven means that he is present in heaven in a more complete way, or not a complete way, but in a more fulfilled way. And so why? Why did Jesus ascend into heaven? This is a question that Thomas Aquinas brings up, and he answers it. And he gives three reasons. First, he says, in order to increase our faith, because the scriptures say, blessed are those who have not seen and yet believe. And so those of us who are here, and yes, we believe in the Blessed Sacrament and the Eucharist, but those of us who are here didn't see Jesus ascend into heaven. We didn't see him resurrect from the dead. We didn't see him suffer on the cross. These are all things that we've been told through tradition, even things that have been handed down to us. So the fact that he's ascended into heaven means that, the fact that he's not here present physically gives us a greater faith, in a way, than the faith of the apostles, in a sense. Secondly, Thomas Aquinas says that the ascension occurred in order that we might have more hope. In other words, Jesus promised that he would go up to heaven, and then he would bring us to himself. And so knowing that he went up bodily, then we know also that we will be raised up bodily into heaven. And finally, and I think this is the one that's most important for us to consider right now, here, that we are in the church militant, we're in the church that is still working for the kingdom of heaven. The third reason that Thomas Aquinas gives for the ascension is that we might seek the things that are above more than we think to seek the things that are here below. And this is what we should consider on the Feast of the Ascension, among, of course, all the other things that I mentioned. But I think this is a very important point to consider, that we might seek the things that are above rather than the things that are below. And I've said this before, there is a sense in which the spiritual realities are more real. The spiritual realm is more real than the physical realm because it's eternal. The spiritual realm is everlasting. The physical realm isn't. Of course, with the resurrected body, yes, that will be a glorified body and an everlasting body. But aside from that, the physical world here and now, what we can see, what we can touch, what we can smell, these things are temporal. And what's more real, what lasts forever, are the spiritual realities. These are the things that we ought to seek. So on this Feast of the Ascension, whether you see this today or you see this on Sunday, which is the day that we will actually celebrate the Feast of the Ascension, consider that. Consider what are the things that you are seeking that are temporal, that are here on earth, and what are they doing for you? And is there something that you could seek more? In other words, could you be seeking the things of heaven more ardently, with more desire, with more fervor? And one last little tidbit. 9 days from today is going to be Pentecost. So this is the original novena. So we can start today praying to the Holy Spirit and asking Him to come to us. And then in 9 days, of course, He will come to us. And this is the biblical reference point for novenas. All right, thank you.